Braxton Manor loomed, a silhouette against the dying light. It crouched at the edge of town, hidden by overgrown ivy and twisted trees. Locals spoke of the manor in hushed tones. They said it was a place of sorrow, a place of secrets. The manor was a relic of a bygone era. Its once grand facade was now crumbling. The windows were dark eyes, staring out blankly. Whispers followed those who dared to venture too close. Whispers of cold drafts and disembodied voices. Whispers of Lydia Braxton, the heartbroken bride who vanished without a trace. Ellie had always been drawn to the strange and the unexplained. A folklore student at the nearby university, she sought truth, hidden within tales of old. When she heard the whispers about Braxton Manor, she knew she had found something special. The story of Lydia Braxton, the vanished bride, captivated her. The legend spoke of Lydia, beautiful and full of life, preparing for her wedding day. On the eve of the ceremony, she vanished. Some whispered she had run away, unable to bear the thought of marrying her betrothed. Others claimed she had met a tragic end, her spirit forever trapped within the manor's walls. Ellie was determined to uncover the truth. Armed with her notebook, a flashlight, and a healthy dose of apprehension, she approached the manor, ready to confront the shadows of the past. The air grew heavy as Ellie stepped onto the manor grounds. The scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filled her nostrils. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the rustle of leaves beneath her feet. As she pushed open the creaking front door, a chill ran down her spine. Dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight that pierced the gloom. Each room she explored whispered tales of neglect and forgotten memories. Faded portraits lined the walls, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. The air grew colder as Ellie ascended the grand staircase, her hand trailing along the chipped banister. Finally, she reached the attic door. It was locked, but the wood around the handle was splintered and old. Ellie managed to force it open, her heart pounding with anticipation. The attic was shrouded in an almost tangible darkness. The musty smell of decay was overpowering. As Ellie's flashlight cut through the gloom, she saw it. A dusty trunk sat in the center of the room, draped in cobwebs. Ellie approached cautiously, her breath catching in her throat. As she reached out to touch it, the temperature plummeted. An icy hand seemed to grip her heart. Then a voice, soft and filled with sorrow, echoed through the stillness. The truth. Reveal the truth. Ellie spun around but found no one there. Fear threatened to overwhelm her, yet she stood her ground. The voice, laced with an unearthly chill, seemed to emanate from the trunk itself. It spoke of a story untold, a truth buried beneath layers of time and sorrow. Ellie knew then that she was not alone. With trembling hands, Ellie lifted the heavy lid of the trunk. Inside, nestled amongst yellowed lace and faded silk, lay a leather-bound diary. Its pages were brittle with age, the ink faded but still legible. Ellie opened the diary and began to read. The words, penned in elegant cursive, told the story of Lydia Braxton. Lydia wrote of her excitement, her dreams of a happy future with her betrothed. But as the days turned into weeks, a different story emerged. A story of betrayal and deceit. Lydia had discovered her beloved's infidelity, his affections a sham, his heart promised to another. The diary entries grew darker, filled with despair and a profound sense of betrayal. The final entry, dated the day before her supposed disappearance, ended abruptly, leaving Ellie breathless with anticipation. The truth unraveled before Ellie's eyes. Lydia had not run away, nor had she met with an accident. She had been murdered, her life stolen by the very man who had vowed to love and cherish her. Her fiancé, driven by greed and fear of exposure, had silenced her forever. As Ellie absorbed this horrifying truth, the temperature in the attic plummeted again. A cold mist coalesced beside her. She turned, her heart pounding in her chest, to see the spectral figure of a young woman. Lydia stood before her, her image shimmering, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. She reached out a translucent hand, her touch a whisper of ice against Ellie's skin. "He buried me," she whispered, her voice a mournful sigh. "He buried the truth." A wave of compassion washed over Ellie. She now understood the sorrow that clung to Braxton Manor, the restless spirit trapped within its walls. Lydia had not sought revenge, only recognition of her suffering. her story finally brought to light. "I believe you," Ellie whispered, meeting Lydia's sorrowful gaze. "I will tell your story, Lydia. You will not be forgotten." As Ellie spoke, a gentle light began to emanate from Lydia. The sadness in her eyes softened, replaced by a glimmer of peace. "Thank you," Lydia whispered, her voice fading like a sigh on the wind. Her form wavered, then dissipated into the shadows, leaving behind a sense of profound stillness. With Lydia's spirit finally at rest, the atmosphere in the attic shifted. The oppressive weight that had hung in the air lifted, replaced by an unexpected tranquility. Sunlight seemed to find its way through the grimy windows, casting the dusty space in a warm glow. Ellie could almost feel the manor itself breathe a sigh of relief. The creaking of the house seemed to soften, no longer mournful but almost welcoming. Even the shadows seemed to recede, as if the darkness that had clung to the manor for over a century was finally lifting. Ellie carefully closed Lydia's diary. She knew what she had to do. Leaving the manor, she carried with her not just the diary, but the weight of Lydia's tragic story. Ellie would keep her promise. She would share Lydia's story, ensuring that her suffering would not be forgotten. Braxton Manor might stand for another century, its secrets seemingly buried with time, but Ellie knew the truth. And within the pages of that old diary, the spirit of Lydia Braxton would finally be free.